Hello everybody, my name is Bragster and welcome to something a little bit different. Now, I am going to be booking the top 5 most likely winners of the Royal Rumble and how I would personally do it. Not how WWE would do it, but how I would do it. So how it is going to go is I'm going to go from 5th most likely to the top most likely to win the Rumble based off betting odds that came out on the 24th of January on SkyBet. I'm going to be using those betting odds to obviously have ranked them. The video on my tier list of who I would like to win the Rumble at the top 30 most likely winners is already up on the channel, but this is how I would book the top 5. Those top 5 from 5th most likely to top most likely is as follows: Big E, Edge, Brock Lesnar, Keith Lee, Daniel Bryan. All really possible winners, big winners as well. So we'll start with Big E. Now Big E is very, very good, and I was convinced he was going to be winning the Rumble as soon as the draft happened. As soon as the draft happened, I was convinced. Then he didn't really do anything, and then he didn't really do anything, and then he didn't really do anything, and then he won the IC title. And we're going into this, and he hasn't really defended the IC title. He hasn't had a lengthy run with it. So, personally, I would like him to probably have a lengthy IC title reign, but if he wasn't and he was to win the Rumble, I'd have him lose the IC title post Royal Rumble. Yeah, I'd basically have him. Yeah, so what I'd do is at the Rumble, it seems like we're gearing up for this, I would have Big E versus Apollo Crews versus Sami Zayn at Royal Rumble. I'd then have Big E win the match by pinning Sami Zayn. Post match, Apollo Crews beats up Big E and just destroys him. Obviously, Apollo Crews has had history with Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns. Past that point, what I'd do then is I would have Big E come out and basically almost call out Roman Reigns sort of thing on the next. Oh, I haven't even had him win the Rumble. Have him win the Rumble. Have him come out have him come out early 20s. Just a random number like 21, 22, something like that. Because if he comes out then, no one really thinks anything of it. People don't really think he's going to win it. Even if he makes the final 4, people might not actually believe Big E's going to do it. And then have Big E go over. Possibly, I don't know who you would have him eliminate last. It's got to be someone believable, but someone that's a heel. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Maybe someone like Cesaro, but then again, he might get a bit of heat for eliminating Cesaro. I'm not too sure. It'd have to be someone people despise and people don't want to win. I was going to say Baron Corbin, but I don't think people would genuinely believe Corbin would win. But someone like that, someone that people just won't really want to win, and have them eliminated last. But yeah, I then have him on SmackDown, kind of call out Roman Reigns, kind of say, you know, what are you doing to Apollo sort of thing, or just call out Apollo. And then Apollo kind of aligns himself with Roman Reigns, and then it can just be literally on the next SmackDown. It could easily be have a title match between Apollo and Big E, and Big E loses the title to Apollo. Apollo then is controlling the mid card, and Big E has a reason to be annoyed. He has a reason to be angry at Roman Reigns. And that kind of makes the decision for him. I'm going to face Roman Reigns. I'm going to face Roman Reigns. He makes that clear. Almost from the start, he makes that clear. I'm going to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. You build to it, you build to it, you build to it, it finally comes. And then I'd have Big E go over. I'd have Big E the one that dethrones Roman Reigns. Personally, I would prefer if we go a bit longer with this storyline. I feel like you'd be rushing the IC title stuff if you have Big E win the Rumble. But if the choice was to have Big E, that's how I would do it. I'd have almost... I would take this long, lengthy IC title storyline and fit it into about 2-3 shows. Jam-pack that storyline, almost hammer it home, almost like hot shot it, which sounds stupid to do, but it would be so good. I think for me, it would be more impactful to have the win of the IC title on the win of the Royal Rumble if Big E has the IC title on him, because no one will believe he's won it. I don't think, I might be wrong, but I'm 99% sure no person has won the Royal Rumble while holding another title. I don't think that's actually happened. So it would be a history-making moment, even if he loses at Mania, but he shouldn't lose at Mania. He should go over and beat Roman Reigns for that world title. It doesn't necessarily book itself, but it kind of does in a way of this Apollo storyline is leading to Roman Reigns versus Big E at some point. I just feel like they're going to do it after Mania. I think they might wait. I don't believe they will because it's WWE, but they could easily wait, or they could really rush it and stuff. So it depends, but that's how I'd do it. Next up is Edge. Edge would be incredible if he comes back in the Royal Rumble, probably number 30. Bring him out number 30. If you think you know me, it starts playing. Obviously, you have the fake pop, but it would be a pop at home for literally everyone. It would be a pop. It'd be awesome. It would genuinely be awesome if he returned again, and I think he should win it. Almost reminiscent. I think he came out number 30 when he won it after his return last time. When he won the Rumble and he returned then. I think he came out number 30. I might be wrong. But I'd have him come out the same number. And then obviously commentary put over, you know, this is the number he came out on when he won the thing, this, that and the other. So really put over that. Would be amazing. But yeah, I'd have him just win it. He doesn't necessarily have to eliminate a heel at the end. Like, he can just eliminate, you know, someone like Daniel Bryan sort of thing, you know, a really, you know, kind-hearted person. He could easily do that. The crowd would never turn on Edge, so you'll be okay. And I know they wouldn't turn on Big E beforehand, but Big E kind of, if it's a heel, a believable heel to win as well, while he's holding that IC belt, you just put in that doubt in people's heads. You're just like, oh my god, Baron Corbin's going to win the Rumble. Like, you're going to have that. Whereas with Edge, if he's at the end, people are going to believe he's going to win. So you don't need to cast doubt, because the doubt would be, will they actually hotshot Edge? That's enough doubt in people's minds of will he win. But yeah, I'd have him win the Rumble. And I'd have the storyline be, can Randy get to Edge? This whole storyline of, you know, because Edge isn't going to go for Roman, so he's going to go for Drew. He's going to go for that WWE title. A title he hasn't held in yonks, he's going to hold. And you have Drew go forwards, beating Goldberg, get rid of Goldberg. And then you would go into this moment where Drew heads into the Elimination Chamber. Randy's in there. Everyone else is in there. And the whole storyline will be, who is Edge going to face? Is he going to face Drew, or is he going to face Randy? Because people will believe that he'll face Randy for that title. That's been reported a few times. And then you've got the belief that he'll face Drew in this really nice feud at Mania. The guy that doesn't want to lose his title versus the guy that feels like he needs it to really consolidate his return. And that'd be the storyline of almost. I know we've had a lot of Drew versus Randy matches, but that can be the build-up. Is it in the Elimination Chamber? It comes down to Drew and Randy. Randy might get screwed, maybe by the Fiend or something, and continue that storyline. Keep the Fiend out of reach. Then we go into Fastlane. Fastlane is the last stop. Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. Last chance saloon for Randy. Last chance saloon for Drew to keep his title. Drew goes over. Drew goes over. Randy fails. Randy fails. Then you go into Mania and you have Randy versus Bray Wyatt, either in a Firefly Funhouse or a normal match, doesn't really matter. And then you have Edge versus Drew McIntyre. It's a great showcase match between two faces, and that's fine because the storyline's there. The guy that wants to keep his title and the guy that needs the title. It's such a beautiful old school storyline that you can just tell over and over and over again. It will never get old because it's such a compelling story, especially after the story that Edge has had. Edge has worked so hard to get back. Edge has worked so hard to return last year. Then he got out injured. Then he returned again at the Rumble. This time he won the Rumble. And then he gets to the final hurdle. And I reckon I just wouldn't care. I would like to point out, I couldn't care less whether Drew would win or Edge would win. But it would be Edge. It really would be Edge. The crowd are back. The first show with crowd back will be Mania by the looks of it. Have Edge go over. Then you can have Randy. Then you can have the Randy stuff. Obviously, if he recovers from the Fiend. But, you know, you can have the Randy storyline afterwards. You can do. The storyline will be written there. But this time, he's going after it because he wants the title and Edge. It will be combined, you know. And you can have some great matches. Edge versus AJ Styles is a match that instantly comes to mind. Edge versus Keith Lee would be an incredible match as well. Who else is up that card? Raw is currently struggling for major stars at the moment, but you know, there's still some great matches in there. I'm looking at the list of potential winners of the Rumble, and just looking at the people that Edge can feud with, even just people like Bobby Lashley would be a really nice little feud. Yeah, just so many, and you know, it will be nice. And if Edge loses the title, it doesn't matter. He won it one final time. He had that one final chance for that title. And that's how you should do it. I wouldn't mind if Edge fails. If Edge fails at Mania. But I feel like it's too much heat on Drew. You basically turn Drew heel in the process. So I'd have Edge go over. But yeah, I know some of you might think, well, wouldn't you have Randy face Edge? But I think the more beautiful storyline would be if it isn't Randy. If Randy fails to get to Edge because of the Fiend, because of his own doubt in his head, he fails, and that leads to his match with Bray. But it could play on his mind. That could be the reason Bray beats him. It's because Randy can't get over the fact that he couldn't face Edge at Mania. He couldn't take that chance away from Edge. Edge won that title because he faced Drew and not Randy. That could be the entire storyline. And it would be such a clever way to do it as well. Yeah, I think that's the way you've got to go with Edge. I really do. Now, moving on to Brock Lesnar. Now, Brock Lesnar, I would not like to win the Rumble. I don't think he needs it. But if he was to win the Rumble, I would have him eliminate someone dastardly. I would have him eliminate... I'd have him eliminate Big E. I'd have him eliminate Bryan. I'd have him eliminate Keith Lee. Possibly Keith Lee at the end. I'd have him eliminate... Put him over as a horrible, dastardly hero to make the world melt. If you're going to have Brock do it, you've got to make the world melt. Then the whole storyline is Brock turns up on Raw, Brock turns up on Raw, Brock turns up on Raw. With Heyman. They put over the fact that Brock never got his rematch. The way he got his rematch was winning the Rumble. Now he's going to take back the title. He lost at last year's Mania. He goes on about that, and it goes on for ages. He never, ever, ever declares that he's going to face Drew. He never declares he's going to face Drew at Mania. Not once. They hint it by turning up on Raw every week, but he never actually officially declares that he'll be doing the match against Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania. You then do whatever you want with the Raw title. Have Drew lose it, have Drew keep it. I don't give a rat's ass, because that's not the point. The point is, at the end of it all, he doesn't go after that WWE title. After everything, after all the hints, after everything, he doesn't go after that Raw title. He goes after the Universal title. He goes after Roman Reigns. Paul Heyman stuck in the middle of his two clients, with nowhere to go, not a clue who to support. Does he support the guy he supported for the last 20 odd years? Or does he go with the guy that he supported for the last year? It's a great storyline there, and that be your Mania match. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. I would have Roman Reigns go over. I'd have him go over. I'd maybe have Paul Heyman screw over Brock. I think you could have it either way. For me, you could have Heyman screw over Brock or Heyman screw over Roman, and I think it would work either way, no matter which way you did it. But I'd have Heyman screw over Brock, putting over Roman Reigns, and Heyman properly aligning himself with Roman, because the whole talk has been what happens when Brock comes back, what happens when Brock comes back, to do with this alliance. That would be the whole build-up. The build-up wouldn't be necessarily about Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar. It'd be about Paul Heyman, and it's a different way to go with this storyline. I wouldn't necessarily like it personally, because I would love him to face like someone like Samoa Joe, like a Samoan, or Daniel Bryan, who is family based, Shinsuke Nakamura, who he's screwed over, Big E, if he screws over Big E. Like, I prefer that. But if you're going to go down the Brock route, you've got to make it about Paul Heyman. You've got to make it about that alliance. How strong is the bond between Brock and Heyman? How strong is that bond between Heyman and Roman? And that'd be the whole storyline. You have the entire build-up to Mania being about Brock versus Drew, and then he changes him. He doesn't change his mind, but it's the plan the whole time. But he doesn't tell Heyman. He doesn't tell Heyman. Heyman just is there on SmackDown one week with Roman. They're in the ring. They're cutting a promo. Brock's music hits. Brock turns up. Brock points at the belt, points at Mania, and leaves. Like, and just watch Heyman melt. Heyman's facial expressions are amazing. Watch his face just melt. And that's how you do it. That's how you tell a compelling storyline with Brock Lesnar. And I think it would actually revive a little bit of that Brock frustration we've had over the last few years. Having Brock on his own rather than with Heyman for a bit would be really good. I would like that. I think that's fine. But obviously he might not be so good on the mic. It's a difficult one. It really is a difficult one. But if you're gonna go for it, you gotta have him go for Roman and really put over the fact that, like, he's done this away from Paul Heyman's back. Next up is Keith Lee. My booking of how I would have Keith Lee win the Rumble is very, very different to what I would have previously had. Honestly, I'd have Keith Lee eliminate Brock Lesnar. And that's Uno reversed that one, didn't I? I'd probably have him eliminate Brock, because people would just believe that Brock would go over. Have him eliminate Brock and have that be like the, oh my god, Keith Lee's eliminated Brock. Because obviously last year, Keith Lee and Brock had that little standoffing. It would be a nice callback to that, and then have them the final two, have Keith Lee go over. really put over Keith Lee. Now, if there were no fans at Mania, I would have had Keith Lee turn heel, Keith Lee face Drew, Keith Lee beat Drew. With fans in the arena, I'd have Keith Lee win, Keith Lee stay face, Keith Lee win at Mania. And I'd have Keith Lee beat Drew McIntyre. Similar to the Edge situation, is it can be face versus face, but imagine the fireworks and the cheers of the fans if Keith Lee did it. If Keith Lee beat Drew, Keith Lee went over at Mania, that would be insane. Fans would love it. Drew would have put over someone and elevated someone high up the card, and not only elevated someone high up the card, but given them the title in the process. What a WrestleMania moment for Keith Lee. It'd be similar to the Daniel Bryan situation of how in the way of when Daniel Bryan won that, everyone was so happy. I think it would be similar with Drew. Drew and Keith. I think if Keith went over, I think if Keith went over, the fans would love it and the fans would go mental for it, and that would be like the best thing. In terms of storyline, I know all the others were very storyline based. This one doesn't have to be. It just has to be that Keith makes it clear, I'm going for the WWE title. Makes it clear from the beginning, almost on the first. It might do it on the first night of Raw, straight after. Just, I'm going after that WWE title. Whoever's WWE champion, I will face. Have the Elimination Chamber match. Have Drew in the Elimination Chamber match. I reckon have Drew keep the title until Mania. But you could swap and change it if you really wanted to. But I don't think there's anyone really there on Raw that can take that title and face Keith Lee like Drew will be able to. You know, two behemoths going at it at Mania would be nuts. And it's not as if they're like going to be knackered after like 10 minutes. You know, they can go all out, they can do all their fancy stuff. We've saw a taster of what they could do earlier this year. I think it would be an incredible match, and have Drew just try and keep that title, and he does keep that title. But that can be the whole who will face Keith Lee at Mania, and that can be the storyline at Elimination Chamber and at Fastlane. Who will face Keith Lee at Mania, and there's your storyline right there. Easy stuff. I think Keith Lee's Mania Rumble win is the easiest to book by a country mile. The easiest to book because it's so cookie cutter stuff, but it's obvious for a reason. It would be a good storyline. Yeah, that would be the way you've got to go with Keith Lee. And finally, Daniel Bryan. Now, Daniel Bryan cut an amazing promo on SmackDown about how he's never won it and how this is his time to win it. That's going to be used in WrestleMania packages, even if he doesn't go on to face Roman and doesn't have a Mania match, as in like a Mania match that's for a title. It can still be used in a WrestleMania promo as if to go, he didn't do this, this is playing in his head. But I would have Bryan win. Doesn't necessarily matter who he eliminates. He could eliminate Edge, he could eliminate, obviously Brock would be always a good choice. AJ, he could eliminate AJ towards the end. Like, just people that, like, Bryan's an easy one. He can eliminate Sheamus, Cesaro, it doesn't really matter. I'd probably actually have Bryan eliminate Cesaro. Cesaro's been a heel at the moment. I'd have Bryan eliminate Cesaro last. They've had a few good standoffs recently. I'd have that. I'd have Bryan go over there, and then Bryan's then obviously going to go after Roman. That's quite obvious from the start. Family Man goes after Family Man. Obviously one is an actual family man that is a very nice, and the other one is a dastardly family man who beats up his family. But yeah, I'd have Bryan just talk about his family all the time in promos. Have it go over that he loves his family, he's doing this for his family. And then the whole build-up be Roman just going through people. Obviously Kevin Owens will be first at the Rumble, then possibly Shinsuke. Have him go through Shinsuke, maybe have him in the chamber match with Jey Uso. So have Jey in the chamber, have maybe Big E in there, then you have Shinsuke in there and stuff. And then Shinsuke is in the final 2 with Roman. Roman eliminates Shinsuke. Shinsuke then faces Roman at Fastlane. And there's the whole storyline of obviously Nakamura versus Bryan is like a dream match. Then you've got Roman versus Bryan, which is all family versus family. Be a really good match, I think, for Shinsuke at Fastlane. It would really elevate the Fastlane pay-per-view on the road to WrestleMania. And have Roman go over here. Yes, the fans would be annoyed because Shinsuke didn't win, but that's the point. Roman can take heat. Roman needs heat. Then he goes into that Mania match, and Bryan goes over. I know I've pretty much said that everyone that wins the Rumble should go over, but that's how it should be. The only one that I don't think should go over is possibly Brock. Everyone else should, because quite simply, the Royal Rumble is about opportunity and is about elevating people up, taking people from a certain level where they're not really in the title picture to in the title picture and winning it, and then elevating them to a main event talent. We did it with Shinsuke, but we didn't go over. He should have gone over when Shinsuke won it. But that's the thing. Bryan should go over. He finally beats Roman Reigns. The crowd go mental. It's another miracle for Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania, and that'd be the whole thing there. It'd just be a beautiful little storyline, and Bryan's, you know, with his family, this, that and the other, and wonderful stuff. It'd be a nice emotional ending to one of the WrestleManias, probably night 2 of WrestleMania that Bryan match would be, and that's how it should be. Like, that's how it should be. Bryan should go over, and I'm really excited for this Royal Rumble. I think there's so many winners. Like, I'm just looking here, right? I've just told you the top 5, but Shinsuke could easily win it. That's lower down the list. Cesaro's been booked quite strongly. That can easily win it. Sheamus is another one. Obviously, you would have seen. Please check out the tier list where I did talk about all of their chances and whether I would like them to win it or not. Because there's a few choices that I'd actually really like to win the Rumble that aren't even mentioned once in this video. So do check that out. But yeah, that is how I would book the top 5 most likely winners of the Royal Rumble to go on to WrestleMania. Hit that like button if you like this video and want to see more stuff like this. I'll be doing a similar thing for the women's Royal Rumble possible winners. I'll be doing it for them as well, because there's a lot you can talk about with on the women's side as well. But if you want to see more stuff like this, more fantasy booking by me, then please hit that like button and tell me in the comments down below. And if you do want me to fantasy book more stuff, put down in the comments down below, what do you want me to fantasy book? I'm more than happy to do more stuff like this. I do enjoy fantasy booking quite a lot, which is why I have my TEW series. But yeah, do put it down in the comments down below. My voice is obviously going, you can tell that now. If you're new here, please do subscribe for more wrestling content and other content on my channel that you can check out as well. And I shall see all of you guys in the next video. See ya!